Female rapper Azealia Banks is about as crazy as they come. You know, she's always saying just something just so incredibly over the top. Whether she's making fun of another woman, another brown woman's complexion, calling her a tar baby, or let me see, she's arguing on the internet about white supremacy, or she's blaming so-called black people again for a number of different things, or she's basically just attention whoring for whatever reason. You know, it's like you never really know when this chick is being serious or not. I guess some people find her to be entertaining, some people find her to be disgusting. This time, she's sitting around talking about how she's going to vote for Donald Trump because he's evil, just like America. Not America, but America. Okay, she didn't call it America, but you know what I mean. Basically, Azealia Banks now is trolling politics and trolling politicians. And I actually agree with some of the stuff that she was saying recently. Some of what she had to say has some truth to it. I will admit that. However, I really don't know whether or not I should even begin to take this chick seriously. I mean, if she wasn't so good looking, would I even be making this video? I'm probably just making this video because I have a tiny little eensy weensy crush on Azealia Banks. I think she's a hot piece of ass. But anyways, she said the following on Twitter. She said, and I quote, "Okay, so I think I'm ready to admit that I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. I think Trump is the only one who truly has the balls to bust up big business. Hillary is too tied in with them, and Bernie has no clout. The other candidates are simply, quote, them hoes over there, hashtag thoughts. Just because Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders say nice things about minorities doesn't mean they actually mean them. Politicians have been saying, quote, nice things about colored folks, and we've still been getting fucked. I only trust this country to be what it is. Full of shit. Takes shit to know shit. So, we may as well put a piece of shit in the White House. I have no hope for America. It is what it is. Capitalism, consumerist, racist land of make-believe. It's inherently evil and must feed on others for it to survive. I didn't create it. I'm not proud of it, but I am here and it's all I know. I was having a conversation over dinner with a friend about, quote, the greater good of America and what it means figuratively and literally. Like, how could the American dream at this point survive without relying on a systematically oppressed underclass? Can it? It can. It's fucked up to know that in order for me to have this first world life, someone somewhere else is suffering. But what do you do? And what does it mean? Do societies naturally organize themselves this way? Is this fate or conspiracy? I'm very pro-America and pro-Africana, but American exceptionalism and the American paradigm is super interesting to me. Just how this web of lies and oppression has spawned itself into this global influence and made people proud to be a part of it. So proud that they'll fight and die for it. In conclusion, I think Donald Trump is evil, like America is evil, and in order for America to keep up with itself, it needs him. Okay, so now for the record, a lot of what she said probably went over a lot of people's heads. They probably said to themselves, well, what the hell does that mean? She was just speaking gibberish. But what she really did was, I don't even know whether or not she consciously did this, which she may have because she's a really smart person. But basically, she broke down white supremacy. But the way that she did it was she was speaking about it as if she's benefiting as an equal partner in the so-called American dream, which has to be somebody else's nightmare in order for it to exist. Basically, what she's saying is that there has to be darkness in order for there to be light. And she says so many interesting things in her speech that it would take forever, to really talk about it all in detail. But basically, the one thing that I just completely disagree with, which I hope she was trolling when she said this, was at the beginning when she said that, quote, Trump is the only one who truly has the balls to bust up big business. Really? Donald Trump is all about big business. He's just basically a brand. I heard he doesn't even actually truly take part in building the buildings that he has his name on. I heard that some other company or companies build those things, and then he just basically sticks his name on them. Also, Donald Trump is not a true self-made millionaire. He comes from a wealthy family. His father was a very successful businessman. And Donald Trump has been bankrupt multiple times. I think at least 3 times. He's known to be the guy who basically becomes bankrupt and then uses his connections or whatever he does in order to regain his wealth over and over again. You know, he regenerates his wealth basically. And it's really crazy because it's like, how many times is this guy going to continue to fail? And would you ever want somebody to be the president of the United States, this corporation? Because it's not a country. This is just a corporation. Would you really want somebody like him to run the corporation when he's already been bankrupt so many times? It just doesn't make any sense. And, you know, when she talked about how Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders say nice things about minorities, but that doesn't mean that they actually mean them. I totally agree with that. This whole buttering up black folks like butter biscuits, that shit needs to stop. The simple fact that the mixed guy in the office, Barack Hussein Obama, didn't wake so-called black people up and make them say, I guess no matter what they say on that silly microphone, when they step up to those 2 short SM57 microphones at the podium, just because they say that they're here for us and they're going to do this and do that, they make broken promises on the daily. And I would think that Barack Obama would have basically woke people up. Like, wow, you know, look at how full of crap that these politicians are, because seeing he's half so-called black, you know, I figured, you know, with him actually being held accountable for things, unlike other presidents who have gotten away with murder, I would think that a lot of quote-unquote black people would have actually woke up by now and said, wow, they're really not on our side, no matter what quote-unquote color they are, even if they're half of a so-called black person. But yeah, I totally agree with her on the whole politicians saying nice things, but them basically being full of it. I agree with what she said about America is full of shit, because America's an idea. And that's about it. And like she said, you know, capitalist, consumerist, racist land of make-believe. And I basically, I mean, that in a nutshell is basically what I think about things anyway. So, you know, I was just cracking up in the inside when I was reading this to myself. Like, you know, basically she put into words everything that I basically would have said, other than the really that whole thing about Donald Trump needing to run the country. Hopefully she said that because that was like the draw. Hopefully that was like the hook to reel people in. Like, oh, she's talking shit about Donald Trump. So then that way they would read the rest. Hopefully that's why she said it towards the beginning, to kind of trick people and whatnot. Anyways, it's funny how she basically said that in order for America to be able to function, America has to essentially leech off of other people. And America doesn't have to do that. That's not the way that things work. But the so-called elite class feel that way. They feel like if we're going to be in power, then we cannot empower individuals. Because if everybody's empowered, then how will we really actually be in power? Because you're in power too. The whole point is to put ourselves in power to overpower you. So what she's saying is not true. America doesn't need to put his foot on anybody's neck to be empowered. That's just a misconception. You know, I honestly believe that everybody could be empowered, and the so-called elitists would basically still be running things. Like, for example, if there was no poverty in America, let's say, for example, they had programs to keep people off of drugs or basically detox them, and that was basically like federally funded and promoted and whatnot. Plus you mix that with, let's say, a mandatory salary of $100,000 for every person 18 and older in America, just for example. along with some other things set up. So, basically to make sure that everybody was, at least as many people as possible, were sober in their proper mind and had enough finances to just basically do just about whatever they want. At the end of the day, the people who run things right now would still be in charge. They still be running things. As good as that sounds, these people would still be in quote unquote power over the average person, because the average person still would not know what to do with their day anyway. They still would not know how to function without somebody basically being the puppet master and pulling their strings. So it really honestly would not matter either way. The truth of the matter is that the people who run things behind the scenes hate people. They like to see people suffer. And, one of the best movies, and it's a really sick movie, and I would suggest you read about it on the internet before you even watch it, even though it may spoil the movie for you. The average person would not be able to stomach this movie. It's one of the sickest movies that was ever made. The name of the movie is Salo, S-A-L-O, 120 Days of Sodom. If you want to know about the quote-unquote Illuminati, as a matter of fact, I'm going to make a separate video about this movie. But if you want to know how the people who run things, the people who run the world, the hidden hand, the secret societies, not the average secret society member, I'm talking about the people who rule over them, the people who are really running stuff, truly have power, not somebody who's just a mere celebrity, not somebody who just has $100 million and they're a household name. I'm talking about the people who really run stuff, like run the banks and stuff like that. If you really want to understand how their minds work and how they think about the average person and how they function, and you're tired of all the YouTube videos claiming that every celebrity and their mother is in the quote unquote Illuminati and they're not, I would suggest, if you want some real, true visuals, a true peek into what things are really truly like, watch Salo, 120 Days of Sodom. It's a movie from the 70s. Look it up and check that out. And like I said, it's probably best you read about it first, because I don't want somebody to see that movie and have nightmares and have their life destroyed. If you really honestly think that you can handle it. I mean, it was on lists as one of the worst and cringeworthy, gut-wrenching films that have ever been made. It's not the type of movie that if you don't have the stomach for it, you should ever watch. So I'm giving you a fair warning here. But it's called Salo, S-A-L-O, 120 Days of Sodom. It's a pretty sick film. And once you watch that, you'll finally understand how these people operate behind the scenes. Now, there's some other ones I could hip you to, but I would say that, and as of right now, that's the number one film that I know of that would really open your eyes to the way that things work behind the scenes, behind the curtain. I do love the fact that she mentioned in these tweets that there's people willing to fight and people willing to die, basically for the American ideal, the idea of what America is and what it represents. Because she basically, from my perception, she was basically talking about the damn military, who's just basically one big joke. And I know America has this love affair with the military, which I'm not a part of that. But to be truthful and honest with you, they're the biggest problem that we face. If you really want to be technical about it, if it wasn't for the military, America would be in a lot better place. A lot of people think that we'd be dead without them. And the reason why I don't make that many political videos where I talk too much about politics is because, in my opinion, everything comes back to the military. A lot of people think that America would be bombed and basically destroyed if there was no military. But in reality, you remember when Tupac said they got money for war but can't feed the poor? And then you see all of these right-wing Republican types saying that The reason why America's in debt is because of welfare. Well, I somewhat agree with that. I agree with the fact that it's welfare, but not the welfare that you think. From the way I understand things, warfare is welfare, because I'm paying for these soldiers to train to go and kill children in foreign countries. But these punks won't go to Korea, where they're always threatening to nuke America, because they're scared, because they know that they'll die in a real war. Unlike in the Middle East, which is a fake war. They're shooting baby fish in a barrel in the Middle East. These people don't have the means to defend themselves. Now, Korea, over there in North Korea, that's an actual viable threat that's constantly threatening America. And they're too scared to go over there because they know what will happen, which is they won't actually come back. They know if they go to the Middle East, chances are they'll survive. A war with Korea, on the other hand, it'll be over really fast. I'll just put it like that. That would be an actual real war. Not a fake one, not a play war. And in my opinion, all politics comes back to these facts. My money's being wasted, given to the military to fake protect America because they didn't do anything on 9/11. But I digress. That's just my political opinion. I'll talk about that another time. You know, I've talked about it a little bit here and there, and I got threatened for talking about it and whatnot. But whatever. But I just want to say this to conclude, the whole conversation about what Azealia Banks was saying and whatnot. It's funny because they say that there's 3 different branches of the Illuminati. There is the Vatican, which basically runs religion. There's England, which runs the financial part. And then America is the military might. And if you think about it, well, I'm going to wait. I'll talk about this in another video in more detail. But I want to say this about America, though. She said, this web of lies and oppression has spawned itself into this global influence and made people proud to be a part of it. So proud, they'll fight and die for it. Basically, Americans are scared. They don't understand the basic concept of you have to follow the money. And the people who basically are running things as far as like the Federal Reserve, which is not federal. I mean, it's a privately owned institution. And it's not an actual federal institution in the first place. That's just a name, a title or whatever. But it's not technically federal. But people like that are the people that we need to be watching out for. And it's funny because we can make videos all day about how Azealia Banks is a member of the Illuminati. But yet when it's time to discuss things like the Federal Reserve, she's a witch. Don't get me wrong, but she admits that. But she's no damn Illuminatus. She's just some chick who happens to rap. Okay. Who knows a few things. She obviously, knows about these subjects because you can tell because of the way that she's wording things and whatnot. But basically, we'll talk all day about how Azealia Banks is a member of the Illuminati and Beyonce is a member of the Illuminati. But when it comes to the Federal Reserve and high-ranking military officials, the Central Intelligence Agency, and things like that, there are actual, true, real Illuminati that are really killing people and getting away with it legally. The police forces who were killing people, getting away with it legally. People don't want to have this discussion. You see what I'm saying? But we can sit up here and talk about how Azealia Banks is in the goddamn Illuminati. And the people who run things, that's exactly what they want you to think. That's why if you ever notice when I make those stupid videos about celebrities being in the so-called Illuminati, I'm just basically joking around and it's just all a game. I don't really think that any of these celebrities, none of the so-called black ones, rather, are in any damn Illuminati. Except for maybe a small, very minute group. Maybe Oprah. And she's the only one I could think of off the top of my head. And I would say that she's not really up there in ranks, even if she is really involved. But she's done certain things like attacking black men on her show for many years, which lets me know that she was at least used as a pawn in the game. That doesn't mean that she's, a part of that hidden hand behind the scenes, but she was at least being used by certain people to spread certain talking points. And it's funny because we'll talk about Azealia Banks or Beyonce or Jay-Z being in the Illuminati, but I don't hear the same people saying that Bill O'Reilly is in the Illuminati, or Gloria Steinem, the CIA agent, or asset, whatever. But the point is this, though. We really need to get our priorities straight, people. Stop with the celebrities are the Illuminati thing. It's these people who are making laws and the people who are murdering you and your children and getting away with it and then getting money for doing so. Those people are real Illuminatis. Hell, the Ku Klux Klan, as much as we make fun of them and whatnot, yeah, they're in the shit too. They may be part of the lower ranks. They may be the grunts of the Illuminati, but they're really with the shit. But anyways, this is all my opinion. Let me know what you think about it all below. Be sure to subscribe to the Meat Magazine YouTube channels. Visit meatmagazine.blogspot.com. Follow me on Twitter at Meat Magazine.